Lots of coverage ahead of Monday Night Football here on HQ tonight. Welcome back. Football Happy Hour. Jeremy St. Louis alongside Brady Quinn, Douzable, and Danny Kanell. Let's talk about some wagering for tonight. Brady, let's start with you. Who's your best bet for an anytime touchdown tonight?
I've got Darren Waller. Obviously, it's tied in for the Las Vegas Raiders. I think it's just a good matchup. I think it's someone that down in the red zone, they like to go to him. He's a bigger target, too. I think the Kansas City Chiefs obviously are going to focus a lot on Davante Adams. We know that. So I think Waller becomes that target that you want to go to at plus 182, get a bit of value there as well.
Yeah, I'm going to go Josh Jacobs as anytime score because, last week got off the snide, 2 rushing touchdowns. And if the Raiders want to stay in this game, they have to run the football. I don't know what it was the first couple weeks of the season. Josh Jacobs, they just didn't get him going last week versus Denver Broncos. He really got going. I think he has success today, anytime score for Josh Jacobs.
I'm going to go with Davante Adams, his old teammate from Fresno State, Derek Carr. Been a little bit of a slow start, but I think at some point you have to force feed him the ball to keep him happy. He's a big target. I think he'll get one tonight.
I think they've been trying to force feed him. Yeah. It just hasn't been working. Yep. In terms of the player props, Patrick Mahomes has a touchdown prop of over or under 2.5 touchdown passes. He's 2.75 per game, 2.75 per game versus the Raiders. So when you look at Patrick Mahomes, over, under, it seems like a no-brainer.
It's over because it's more of a philosophical thing with the Chiefs. Like, they're allergic to running the football in the red zone really at any point in time. They literally find different ways every week of throwing a shovel pass just so they don't have to hand off the football. It's amazing the different ways they get a shovel pass off. So I'm going to take the over purely for the fact that I think once they get down there, even if they want to involve the running backs, it's going to be a screen. It's going to be a shovel pass. It's going to be something quick to the flat. They just want to throw the football down the red zone, bottom line.
Or it's a circus throw where Mahomes runs out to the right, jump passes it to Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the back. At the end zone, you stated it, Jeremy, he's averaging 2.7, touchdowns per game throwing. I think he gets over that tonight as well. Like Brady said, they refuse to run the ball in the low red zone no matter what. And, they play backyard football, whether it's a trick play or not. Mahomes usually throws the ball.
It's over all day. Now, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but let's just say that Kirk Cousins is the worst in prime time. Patrick Mahomes is the anti-Kirk Cousins in prime time. I mean, he really does, and that's what great players do. They raise the bar even then some when the lights are the brightest, and I think that's what you get out of Patrick Mahomes. We've already seen that a couple times. Not a couple times. Throughout his career, his numbers in prime time are off the charts. I think he has a big night tonight.
Touchdown to interception ratio with the Raiders last year, 11-3. So I mean, he's set to throw some touchdowns. And as you mentioned, Brady, I mean, they find creative ways to make sure they don't have to hand off the ball. In terms of Derek Carr tonight, Leger, what about Carr over or under his 273 and a hook passing yards total?
I'm going to say over. I think it's because they're going to be behind. He's going to have to throw for a lot in the second half. I mean, if you saw it last week, Tom Brady's numbers were kind of infatuated because they were so down. I think that happens with Derek Carr now. If they want a chance, they got to run the ball early with Josh Jacobs. But I think either way, the way this offense is clicking for the Kansas City Chiefs, and they were so balanced last week versus the Bucs, I think they're up big, and Derek Carr's going to have to throw. I think he goes over to 273, 0.5 pass yards.
I'm with you. I'm on the over, too. A lot of the reasons you just said, I think they need to have a game where Derek Carr gets on the same page with Davante Adams. Waller, I love as a target. And I think the biggest point is I think they will be trailing kind of nonstop. And it's going to be really hard to stay dedicated to Josh Jacobs in the run game, no matter how hard they try.
I'm taking the under on this one. I don't feel good about it either because the Chiefs are the #1 rush defense right now in the NFL. But I think the Raiders found something last week, feeding Josh Jacobs. Deuce, you talked about the balance that they had on offense. I think they're going to have that to some degree. I know not everyone is always able to play, match throw for throw with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, especially in this matchup. So don't even try. Try to play a little bit of keep away too, possess the football. I think he's just under this number. You see a fair amount of the balance that was that winning formula last week play out as a factor this week.
Okay, so Danny, give us a player prop to go over on.
So I went with Josh Jacobs. We talked a lot about him. I don't know how many yards he's going to get, but I do think early on they're going to try to get that run game going, try to play keep away somewhat in the time of possession. I don't know how much success they have, but only 14.5 carries. I think they'll easily go over this number tonight.
Yeah, to me, I went over too, but rush yards for Josh Jacobs. And to this point, over 140 rush yards last week, 2 touchdowns. If they want to slow this game down, minimize the possessions that the Kansas City Chiefs offense have, they have to run this ball with Josh Jacobs. I think they get it going. One thing they do well is blitz and cover on the outside, but they're the middle of the pack as far as stopping the run. So I think there's something to be had right there for Josh Jacobs. Again, I think they trailed the second half, but in the first half, I think they get Josh Jacobs going in the run game.
I got Hunter Renfrow over 4.5 receptions. And I kind of went back and looked through a couple times. Steve Spagnuolo and Josh McDaniels have scored off previously. That slot position, Wes Welker, and you go back to the Super Bowl too, the Giants won. Welker still had a lot of love in that game. So I think that's going to be a spot too. You see Derek Carr, Hunter Renfrow connect for over that 4.5 receptions tonight.
All right, so give us the player prop to go under.
What did I end up picking? Oh, I got Derek Carr under 25.5 pass completions. If I think he's going to go under, obviously in yards, probably under in completions as well. So you can almost make a parlay with those 2 bets. But I think it's going to be tough. I think they're going to want to run the football, control the game that way. I also see this game being a little bit tighter. You guys might not, and that's one of the reasons too why I think it's going to be more balanced. He's not going to get put in a shootout or have to be throwing his way back into it at the end. So under the 25.5 pass completions.
Yeah, I went under for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 47.5 rush yards. Now, I know he ran really well last week versus the Tampa Bay Bucks, but Isaiah Pacheco, he's earned more carries. This dude, again, he runs like he's on death row and it's his last meal. Every run is so physical, and we saw that pay dividends for the Kansas City Chiefs versus that Bucks defense. I don't think anybody saw, the Kansas City dropping 40+ on that Bucks defense because it had been the top defense in the NFL until last week. So I think for purposes, because I think Isaiah Pacheco gets more carries, I don't think he gets the 47.5 rush yards.
We didn't even compare notes, and I have the same thing. I'm on the side under 47.5 too. Brady, would you say the Chiefs are allergic to running the football?
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a night where Patrick Mahomes goes off. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire, if there was a total yards rushing and passing, I might take over that reception yards, but I'm not going to touch that rushing yards. I'll say under that all day.
All right, lastly, the line, Chiefs by 7, the total sitting at 51.5. Danny, how are you playing those numbers?
So I actually got 2 plays in this one. I actually think the Raiders, a little bit backs against the wall, divisional game. I think they'll hang around, but I also think we talked about something. You noticed took a lot of overs today. I think it'll be more of a high-scoring affair. So I'm going to go over that total of 51.5, a little bit of a shootout between these 2 division foes.
I'm a little nervous because last time we both agreed on the team to cover, the Titans versus the Bills smoked them. It wasn't even close. Remember, it was a 10-point line?
I had a short memory. It
was a 10-point line, and we agreed. But I agree. I think you take the Raiders plus 7 the points. I think this game's going to be a lot closer. Again, Josh Jacobs, that's why I would win him. I think he gets the running game going, really minimizes the opportunities that Patrick Mahomes and his offense has. Patrick Graham, this is a big game for you, man. Mad Max has played really well last week versus the Denver Broncos. I think they keep this game close, but I think they cover the plus 7.
I like the over as the best bet. I'm on the other side of this one, though. I don't really love this spread. I contemplated back and forth going and taking the 7 points, but at that number, I'll go ahead and lay the 7. I think the Chiefs win this one. They end up winning a little bit more comfortable when it's all said and done, but higher scoring game for sure.
In the 2 games last season, the Chiefs outscored the Raiders 89-23. But these guys think it's going to be a little bit closer tonight. An average of 56 points.
That's what I wanted you to get to. That's the one.
There we go, the total. Yes, great stuff, gentlemen. Good luck with the wagers tonight. Raiders versus the Chiefs. And as mentioned, we've got full coverage here on CBS Sports HQ. Our coverage begins at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Over 2 hours of coverage leading up to kickoff. Best Bets with Todd Furman, the Wizard of Odds, Kenny White, and the always happy Pete Prisco. Analysis from Brady, Danny, and Charles Davis. And, of course, DFS advice from our Fantasy Football Today crew.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.